everybody. Welcome to MLS Playoff Central, the pregame show presented by Audi. Leg 2 of the Eastern Conference Championship on deck tonight. We have Toronto FC hosting the Columbus Crew after a scoreless draw in Leg 1. You guys, everything on the line tonight. Do or die, win or go home. We're also going to find out who is hosting MLS Cup. Will it be Toronto? Will it be Columbus? Either way, it's going to be cold. But guess what's not cold? The crew sitting at this desk right here. I'm Susanna Collins. I am so happy to be joined by these fellas. We've got my co-host of This Week in MLS, host of The Movement, a guy with some of the best hair in the business, Kalen Carr, and look at the goals that he was able to score.
Look at that. Take that helmet off.
The glory days. The glory days.
Well, these are old highlights, so I'm feeling old today next to these two guys, but happy to be here.
It's happy to have you, Kalen. And to my right, we have former MLS Cup champion, current member of NYCFC, Costa Rican international who just punched his ticket to the World Cup, Rodney Wallace. Great to have you here, man.
Glad to be here.
Congrats. You look very sharp, too, by the way. You guys can't see his shoes, but his shoes and his pants match, and it's pretty stellar.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Do you know whose style game is also on point? This guy. Current MLSer, U.S. men's international team member, Ethan Finley. You guys are all like really bringing the style game here.
We all have our own look, and I think we do a pretty good job.
I think this is a lovely little combination. I think we all look great. We're all ready to do this. Guys, a reminder that this game tonight is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. You can watch it on FS1, TSN, and TVA Sports in Canada, and also the pregame show on Fox starts at 7 p.m. So don't forget that. We also have David Goss, who is live at BMO Field, so we're going to be checking in with him. You're going to want to watch his report. And next week, you guys, starting on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 7 p.m., MLS Cup Central. And then for the big game on December 9th, we're going to have a pre- and post-game show. Kaylin and I will be in market for that, so we'll be doing some fun stuff. But there's going to be some special guests. We've got Tim Melia, Julian Gressel, Iko Para, Dax McCarty. It's going to be great.
That's a good group.
It's a good crew.
Not as good as this group.
I think we rival them.
Yeah,
but.
well, we'll set the bar tonight, and then
we'll see how they do.
We'll see if they can live up to it.
If they can live up to the standard that we are going to set right here this evening. All right, well, speaking of the crew, as we mentioned at the top of the show, everything on the line tonight. This is a big one. I've been paying attention to all these storylines heading into this. We've had a lot of time to kind of talk about the storylines heading into this matchup. And Columbus Crew, a team that is sort of quietly confident right now. We saw what they were able to do in Atlanta. They're definitely capable of getting a big result on the road. So, Ethan, I have you here. I know you have experience under Greg Berhalter. Obviously, you were part of that 2015 team that went to the MLS Cup final, played against this guy. For your sake, we won't talk about that result, but knowing the way, I'm glad I'm sitting between you guys, by the way.
Oh, good.
Knowing the way Greg Berhalter coaches, and especially heading into these do or die situations, what is his message to the team right now? How is he preparing the guys? What was your experience like in that situation?
You know, Greg is very cerebral in how he does things. He's going to be doing a lot of film study. I'm sure he's already identified 2 or 3 things offensively and defensively that he spoke with the team about at the beginning of the week. And every training has been specifically tailored to that. Obviously, one of those things is going to be breaking down the 3 in the back. I think that'll be extremely important for Columbus tonight. And I think another thing that he does really, really well that sometimes goes a little bit unnoticed is his ability to make good tactical decisions in the game, whether that be while the game's happening, at halftime, and late stages of the game. I think with its substitutions and formation changes, I think it goes unnoticed, but it's something that I think he excels at.
Well, they're going to have a tall task in front of them tonight because not a lot of teams have gone up to Toronto FC and gotten good results. The best team in MLS during the regular season, I think 42 points, 1 loss all season. That was without Josie and Javinko. And I think 3 draws. But the positive for that Columbus Crew SC side is that they just need a draw to advance. With the away goal rule, they need to 1-1 gets them through, 2-2 gets them through. But make no mistake, Josie and Javinko coming back into the lineup, they can hurt you in a multitude of ways. You see Javinko with the set piece there.
Ugh,
you know what Altidore can do. So, this is a better team with these two in the lineup,
Sure.
they've been itching to go, had to sit out for 3 weeks, but back tonight and looking to try and get back to MLS Cup where they suffered such a devastating defeat last year to Seattle Sounders.
Indeed. And Rodney, you have recent experience against this Columbus team, having met up with them in the semifinals. What were your takeaways from that series? What makes this Columbus team dangerous, especially on the road?
Columbus is very organized. They got a good system. They follow it. Got a great coach. Players that are willing to do the work. Quality players up top that can hurt you at any moment. And in the midfield, they're very organized, and they know exactly how to contain their attacking players. So it'll be good to see these two teams go head to head.
In that second leg of your series, they kind of, they had the lead, obviously, so they kind of played back a little bit. Do you think that this is going to be a totally different case tonight, that they're going to be pushing forward?
Yeah, I think it'll be a completely different game,
Yeah.
given the fact that the championship is there. So I think that Columbus today is going to come out with a whole different mentality, and I think that for them it's important to stay grounded in the moment and not get carried away. But at the same time, they need a little bit of bite, just because the 0-0 works in their favor.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the away goal as well can hurt Toronto.
Well, I'm glad you bring up a little bit of bite, because there's something that we haven't really done a deep dive into yet when we talk about the playoffs. We've obviously had so many discussions about both of these teams leading up to this game, but I want to talk about mental toughness, right, and that bite that you speak of. Kaylin, you mentioned they're going to have Josie and Seba back in the lineup. These are two guys that had to sit out of leg one. We saw them in Columbus in the stands watching the game. And you've got to think that these are two guys that have something to prove. Obviously, missing out on lifting the trophy last year. These are the two big names for Toronto. What's their mindset going into this one? Having had to sit out that first leg, is there added fuel to their fire?
Well, they'll feel good that their crew was able to go down to Columbus and hold a 0-0. Give them a chance to look. They've got one game at home to get a chance to go back to MLS Cup and be able to right the wrongs of last year. But I think their legacy is on the line. And, Ethan's goes back to Columbus. People receive you warmly because you've had a great career there. And since moved on, of course, and Rodney scoring an MLS Cup goal for Portland. I know whenever I go back to...
received as well in Columbus, by the way.
You can't go back to
I
Columbus.
wasn't received well during the game.
Yeah. But for these two guys, particularly, and Michael Bradley, I'd add to that list as well, it is important for them because there's been a lot of great players who've played in MLS and done well, but maybe haven't won championships. And I spoke to Josie a little bit in Chicago during the All-Star break, and he mentioned, and this was before all of the World Cup stuff happened, but he mentioned wanting to be a legend in Toronto. And I think that's a step forward for the league, that being a legend in your city really matters to these guys. So a big opportunity for them tonight to be able to take that next step towards their place in history.
So added pressure, then. If your legacy is on the line, Rodney, how much added pressure does that inflect into the game?
It's fire, These guys want to be legends. These guys want to be the kings of Toronto. So it's important for them to be there, put on a show, get goals. As you can see, Josie, when he scores, he celebrates like he's got a chip on his shoulder. And Jovinko wants to win every game. And that's exactly the type of fire that this game is going to bring out.
Did you have a problem with what happened the week before? I know we talked a little bit off camera, and you mentioned you liked a little bit of that bite that those guys getting into it.
I liked it. I liked the fact that there was, an incident in the locker room, that there was, I don't know what happened exactly, but, we saw that there was a bit of a tussle.
There it
you
is.
see Josie, you see Sasha, they're teammates on the national team, and they're here getting after it, and that's just exactly what the playoffs bring out of these players. They're big players in big moments, and sometimes the best of both worlds collide.
And those are the leaders on your team, right? Those are the leaders on your team that are stepping up. Obviously, they were missed in the last game, so there's going to be heightened expectation of them. In this round, obviously, it's going to be the only leg they get to be a part of. But I do think it also gave confidence to the group. Obviously, they had to have some guys that stepped up in the moment last week, and they did, and now they're ready to do business. And like you said, if they want to be legends, they got to get this one.
Susanna, you know what I love hearing?
What?
And this is why I love having players on the show, is so much of the talk in the media has been around how they've let their team down and missed the next match or put them in a tough spot before. You get two players on the show and they say, hey, this brings the group together. This is a leadership moment. And, obviously you want to keep them on the field, but the fact they were able to get through and now have them back, it could help.
So it's a moment to rally.
Championship pedigree is not 11 players. I mean, if you look at the teams who have won championships, it is a collective, and it's your roster being good 1 through 28. And they tested that last week, and I think they got a fair result for them. They'll be happy with it. And now they bring their stars back, and they're looking for a win and a trip to the MLS Cup.
Woo!
Everything's
Spicy.
out there. Everything's out there.
Spicy. I like it. Okay, so we obviously are talking about the return of Josie and Giovinco to Toronto, but there are two guys that are participating in these games tonight that are basically in their first playoff experience, and they have been stellar for both teams all season long. I'm talking about the guys standing between the goalposts, Zach Steffen and Alex Bono. Just have to look at that Atlanta game. Zach Steffen had the game of his life. I was literally standing behind goal for most of that game, and just like I was
standing, but I was in my living room.
I was like every player was just like, oh my God. I mean, it was unbelievable. But these two guys have been so outstanding for them. So when you're essentially a young player, you don't have that playoff experience to draw from. What is the recipe for success there in these big game moments, in these sort of do or die moments? Are you looking to the veterans on your team for advice, or is it just more sort of like a built-in confidence that you have to have?
For me, it's what I'd give them advice, as a leader on the team, and I think that's what they'll look for. They'll look for the leaders on the team, Columbus, Toronto. You're looking for those guys to go up to those guys and say, hey, do what you've done all season. You've been solid. This is just another game. We're going to always expect, I've always said to my goalkeeper, we're going to expect 2 or 3 out of you tonight. And so be ready for it. I think with the offensive power on the field tonight, they might be expected to make 4 or 5 big saves. We could see fireworks. But, for me, it's playing within themselves.
We didn't see. They weren't really tested in leg one, shall we say. Do you think that it's going to be a different case tonight, Rodney?
I know that they're going to be tested.
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I know that both goalkeepers are going to bring their A game. They've brought it throughout the playoffs, and they're playing within their moments right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's momentum. You see Zach Steffen just playing out of his mind right now, and that's because he's confident, and he had a great opening game, and that's carrying on to where he is right now. And I think that's what they should focus on. I'm
going to throw a curveball at y'all right now, because there is a chance this could go to penalties. Who would you give the edge to in that case?
You got to go Steffen, right? I mean, how can you not after what happened in Atlanta? Has that experience, making penalty saves, came up in the biggest moments. So if he lands in that spot tonight, he's going to sort of reference that experience. Young players rely so much on confidence. He's going to have it in spades. But, Bono, I don't think should be overlooked as well either, because, of course, Zach Steffen has had that playoff moment. But Bono's been a big part of this season for them, top of the table all year. So when it comes to young players, you want to get the first save under your belt in a big match. You want to do maybe do the simple thing right early. But both these guys have earned the trust of their teams and their managers throughout the season.
Yeah.
I'd also add that I put advantage to them as well, and their players have also experienced penalty kicks. Yeah. You've had 5 guys that have taken them. Not to say Toronto doesn't have experienced players, but they have been in the moment, the most recent.
Rodney, what do you think?
Well, all these guys have these games to look back right now, and Zach, he's watching his highlights from the game against New York City FC. He's looking at the game versus Atlanta, and those are the games that he has under his belt. Those are big games that he can look back and say, this is what I need to do, and this is what I can work on. So,
the other wrinkle, the last time there was penalties in the playoffs in Toronto, didn't end so well for the home side.
Foreshadowing.
No, but those little things sneak into your mind a little bit, and it's hard to not let those things creep on as the game goes on, and Columbus being the underdogs in this one as well. When that goes to penalties, that all starts to play a factor.
They're still having nightmares of Steph Fry's arm just reaching out. It's crazy, just crazy. All right, time now for our Audi Player Index Spotlight. And tonight we were focusing on a guy who has been a key cog of that TFC attack. We're talking about Victor Vasquez, and today we're examining how much better he is when Josie and Giovinco are on the field. So right now I'm going to send Kaylin and Rodney to the board to break it all down.
So Josie and Giovinco back in the lineup this year. But what's made this team better this year has been Victor Vasquez. The relationship between the three, when it's worked, and when they haven't been here, as in last week in Columbus, you can tell the difference, more pressure on Vasquez.
And as you can see right here, he's the one making the plays without his supporting cast. And right here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players surrounding him, and it causes a turnover.
Yeah, just too much pressure there. And this is what happens when it actually looks the way it's supposed to. Exactly. Hopefully, as you'll see tonight, the three of them have such a good relationship. You'll see on the turnover
and you
here.
You can see right here, yeah, he's the one winning the ball. And then you have this triangle right here. These three making a difference. The ball goes out to Josie. Right there, you see Giovinco automatically making that run in the box, knowing that this guy right here is going to put it in the box, but the one guy that's unaccounted for is Vasquez.
Yeah, do not want to do that.
And you do not want to leave him right there because he's pretty lethal right there.
Yeah, turns on the box really well there. The three of them have really been making it work all season. Supporter Shield winner, as you see it. And this is the difference here. Audi Player Index points tell you leg one versus New York with Giovinco and Altidore much better than without in leg one against Columbus. They'll need all three of them clicking tonight to get a chance to host another MLS Cup. Susanna, back to you.
Great stuff, guys. All right, time now to check out the starting lineups for both teams. So right now, let's take a look at the starting 11 for the Columbus Crew. Obviously, no Artur in this one, but Ethan, what do you make of the starting 11?
Well, the chess match has begun. Greg Berhalter obviously going to a different formation, and I think this is because of the addition of Giovinco and Altidore. Three across the back, four through the midfield with kind of a 2-1 with Meram, Kamara, and Higuain. It's tough to say. What they're looking at here. I'd have to say, fresh legs in Abubakar coming in. This will be a big test for him. He's shown well in his rookie season, so I look for him to maybe making a nice performance tonight. And then obviously Abu as well will have to step up in the midfield.
Abubakar came in and did well in those dying moments against NYCFC. With the physicality of Josie Altidore in the lineup, I think you want to add maybe another third center back, really, to be able to handle some of that extra onus to try and mark Josie. Yeah. I wonder if Santos will stay there, though. He may go to that right. You could see him back on that right-hand side with Meram on the left and Higuain dropping into the
a little bit.
So
yeah,
they've got some flexibility there.
It's possible.
Well, let's take a look at Toronto's starting 11. Obviously, we've got Giovinco and Josie back in there, but we saw Greg Vanney kind of switch it up last week, but now they're back to that 3-5-2. Kalen, any surprises here for you?
No, well, you're obviously, anytime you look at a lineup for TFC, you're starting with Josie and Giovinco. They didn't have them last week. Ricketts came in there and did a job, but of course, better with them. We highlighted their partnership with Vasquez. The one thing that stands out here is Osorio steps in. He comes in for Delgado, a little bit more of an attacking slant to this team. I think Toronto's going to try and come out and be the aggressive team tonight. And we've seen what happens when Columbus has sit back. It hasn't gone well for them. So I think we may have two teams that are sort of cagey, but also attacking. The first 15 minutes, I think we'll learn a lot.
What do you think, Rodney?
It's really about who is going to take control in the first 15 minutes and obviously throughout the whole match. But I think that the first 15 minutes are very important for both teams. Do you hold back a little bit? Do you go all out? Do you wait for the counters? I think that both teams right now have a lot to play for. So it'll be interesting to see if Higuain's going to take the ball, open up space for the rest of the guys. Is Michael Bradley going to set the tempo of the game?
I'm kind of hoping for an early goal here. I just want this to be interesting, like right from the start. Like I just want both teams just going for it. All right, so this is an interesting situation right now because I have guys sitting here next to me who all have playoff experience. You all know what it's like to be in these big game situations. And so I kind of want you guys to pull back the curtain for us mere mortals who have never gotten to experience this. When you're in this situation where it's do or die, what are the conversations that you guys are having with yourselves internally, with your coaches, with your teammates? How is there a different mental preparedness that that you're kind of going for as you lead up to these big moments, Ethan?
I always tried to trust the guys around me. I know how to play the game, and you could be having a good one or you could be having a bad one. But knowing you have support from the guys around you. We always had a saying, 11 is 1. We'll get the job done. So for me, that's extremely important. Obviously, that's something that I think they have to be kind of solely focused on and understand it is just another game. Go out there, take care of your business, and at the end of the day, the score will take care of itself.
Sorry, Ethan, but I'm looking at this Rodney goal from MLS. But what does it take in these big moments, big matches that bring the best out of somebody?
I think that the moment itself is going to bring that out. I think that staying present, not trying to take on too much. You know what I mean? It's really about what you can bring to the team. You have to play for your teammates. You have to play for your guys, and really believing that the whole group is going to get it done. If the whole group has that mentality, that belief that things are going to go the right way, then that's just a step forward, and things on the field are just going to align them. They're going to align to where you want them to go.
Winners are optimistic. Yeah. Really, I mean that's what he's telling me right there. Is he's expecting to get a goal there. I remember just from my experience, 2011, losing to the Galaxy in MLS Cup and not expecting to get back because y'all know how hard it is to get there. And we got back in a rematch. I remember thinking on the bus way over there, saying, what's the worst that can happen? It's already happened, So it allowed me to play more free. I think my teammates went into it with a new chance, and that's what's really at stake here is an opportunity. So the team that comes out there with a more positive mindset,
interesting.
Of course you have to be careful, but come in and play free.
That's an interesting point. Another thing I want to bring up, the way these playoffs are formatted, right? There's a lot of days in between these games. What does that do for a team's mentality? How do you maintain that sort of cohesiveness and that mentality of staying together? What do you guys do in those days where you're not playing, you're off the field?
Well, you're training. I think that it's important to keep it light. You always have guys in the locker room that are going to keep things light. When it's time to get to work, we're all getting down to business. But at the same time, we have a couple of days to keep things lighter within the locker room.
How do you keep things light?
Banter. You got to have the banter, and I think during the playoffs, it just gets a little bit more intense, I'd say. But it's a good thing. It's exactly what the group needs. You need to have a little bit of fun. You need to have the coaching staff, the medical staff, everybody that works within the club. You need to be a family. And that's huge for the organization because ultimately you're going to fight with everybody behind you, and it's vital that you spend as much time with your teammates as possible.
Yeah, I mean I think team dinners, you talked about bowling. These are all things that groups get together and it's fun, right? You see a foreign guy try to bowl, it can be quite comical. I'm not going to lie to you. So. It's all those things, I think, getting guys together, getting them out of their element, makes it a good time.
Bowling, Kalen.
Yeah, we like to bowl a lot.
You like to bowl in Houston?
Who's the guy in the locker room in Columbus that would keep things light in there today?
Who's the guy that would keep it light? Well, I'd say the Gahans just in general. They keep it light. They love to dance. They love to have fun. So I'd look to those two.
Okay.
How are your dance moves?
Not great. But I learned a lot.
Okay. Rodney's got some Tico.
I'm gonna make these guys dance after the show. Don't you worry. Yeah. I'll get it for the gram. Guys, right now we are going to send it out to David Goss, who is live at BMO Field. David, I just want to ask about the message that Greg Vanney has been sending to his team this week leading up to this second leg. What has been his mindset? What is he telling his guys right now?
Hey, Susanna, it's a lot of confidence from the TFC side. Every player said it yesterday in their scrums. Greg Vanney sat down with me, and they have to go and win a home game at BMO Field to go to MLS Cup. This is what they want and this is what they do. It's not hard. There's not a lot of calculations to make. He talked about his relationship with Greg Berhalter, and he talked about how much he respected him as a coach, and it's why I'm surprised to see this starting lineup, because he talked about the vision that Greg Berhalter has. This wasn't a team he thought that'd come out like the Red Bulls did and try and make it physical and try and make it ugly, because they had this philosophy that's so imprinted on Crew SC. Now, from my understanding, this starting lineup for Crew is a three-man backline with Lalas Abubakar, at left center back. That's to bring more physicality. So surprised to see that from the Crew. But for TFC, what they wanted to do was isolate Mensah and isolate Williams one-on-one with Josie and Giovinco, and they know that that's a winning formula for them. If they can get their wingbacks forward and pull the extra help away and get Josie on those one-on-ones, they believe it'll be a victory.
Well, Gus, knowing how good the Crew have been on the road this season, what is their biggest concern? What is TFC's biggest concern when it comes to this Crew team? What have they been preparing for most leading up to this one?
Yeah. In the attack, they just say Justin Miram and Higuain. They keep saying that those two can create goals out of nowhere. But I thought it was interesting. I brought up that the Crew were able to shut out Atlanta for 120 minutes on the road. Greg Vanney looked at me and he said, when I watched that tape, Atlanta had some really good chances. They should have scored in that game. So while Crew SC have been successful on the road recently, you could see in his eye that he knew there's opportunities against this team. If Toronto could come out and score an early one, the atmosphere in this building's really going to drive them. Michael Bradley talked about the relationship, the energy that if TFC can come out strong early on, this crowd will help push them all the way through.
All right, guys, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show that, there is a chance that this game could go to penalties. In that case, is that something that TFC have been practicing this week?
So TFC said specifically that they practiced it before the Red Bull series. This time, they said it's something that we've done, but it hasn't been a focus. And that was Greg Vanney's line to the Fox Sports Crew, which is going to come on after us. So this TFC team, I think, is confident that they can get it done before then.
All right, great stuff. Enjoy the game. Thanks so much, David.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
Oh, hey, before you go, I want to get your prediction. How's it going to go?
Gostradamus. Well, before I saw the starting lineup, I thought Josie Altidore was going to do some serious work, and I still think so. If you think about that second or both legs against Montreal last year, Josie Altidore played the best soccer he's ever played. And this is a guy who sat out that first leg and is ready to go now. So I'm saying TFC by a goal or two.
And all right, I like it, Gus. Thank you so much. We'll see you after the game. All right, so we got Gus's prediction. He thinks it's TFC. Josie's going to have a big game. But now I want to get your predictions for how it's going to go tonight and your player to watch. Rodney, I'm going to start with you.
My player to watch is Higuain.
Okay.
For Columbus. I think that it's up to him to set the tempo. I think that he's going to open up a lot of space for other players, but I want to see him get that final play, and I want him to be the guy.
I like it. So you think Columbus is going to win this one?
Columbus is going to get this one.
Woo!
I also think that it's going to test their depth. I think that it might come down to somebody on the bench to come in, provide a spark, and maybe get the job done as well.
All right. Rodney's going with Columbus. Ethan, you're up.
Yeah, I'm going to follow in his footsteps.
I'm not surprised.
I thought, when I look at all the metrics and I think about it, and I, take all that into account, I think team of destiny still, right? And that's what you kind of touched on over the last couple of weeks. So I'm thinking 1-1 this evening. Ola Kamara, finally gets out of this goal drought and sends his team to MLS Cup.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, 2 for Columbus. Kaylin?
So you mentioned Higuain and Kamara. I actually think the biggest difference maker tonight for Columbus is going to be Justin Miram. He hasn't quite had his moment. He got 1 goal against NYCFC, but hasn't quite had his moment in the playoffs yet. Haven't seen the best of him. When I think of teams that have done well against TFC, it's been a winger that can get isolated one-on-one, a Piatti. He's got that type of ability. So I think for the Crew to get it done, it's going to be Miram. It's been my heart has been telling me Columbus, same reason, but the more and more I go through it, the harder it is to pick them. I'm going TFC, actually. I just think there's too many ways for them to find a goal, whether it's a Giovinco set piece or Josie breaking through. And at home, I think I picked them before the playoffs started, so I'm going to stick with them.
I guess I'm the tiebreaker then. All right. Oh man, this is so much pressure. So I will say, I think that the goalkeepers are going to be really, really important in this one. I think both of those guys are going to be incredibly busy this evening. I'm going to give the edge to Zach Steffen, just like you guys. And I think that Columbus is going to win this one. I think it's going to be 1-0. And there we go. That's all she wrote. That's all she wrote.
She's pretty smart, so.
I've done pretty well in these predictions before.
Yeah.
Guys, stick with me. I know what's going on. Thank you so much, you guys. Right now, you should turn it over to Fox. Their pregame show is starting on FS1. Remember, you can watch the game at 7:30 p.m. on FS1, TSN, and TVA Sports in Canada. And after the game, join us back here. This whole crew is going to be back. We're going to be breaking it all down. We're going to have some fun. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the game. We'll see you soon.